Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Tejano Virtual Events. Thank you all for coming today. We really appreciate it. We're going to have some great information to share with you today. Today's session will be covering Degree Works, your roadmap to graduation. Before we start our presentation, I would like to quickly mention that this session will be recorded so that you and those who have missed out on today's events will be able to come back and watch it later. Also, this event will provide Tejano passport points. We will post the code in the chat towards the end of the session. If you have any questions regarding Tejano passport points, please let us know, and we will happily try to help you out. So now at this time, please mute your mics for the best sound experience. Otherwise, the feedback could interfere with the information we're about to share with you. And without further ado, I will hand it over to our presenters. Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Sonia Santana, and I work at the Northwest Counseling Center. My colleague, I'll let her introduce herself.
Hello, everyone. I'm Astrid Arciniega. I'm also a counselor at the Northwest campus, and I'm also an LPC, a licensed professional counselor in the state of Texas.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's start with the presentation. Okay, so the EPC Counseling Department, it's here to help students reach their educational and professional goals. We promote student enrollment, retention, and success through recruitment and outreach activities, academic advising, career exploration, and personal adjustment counseling. There's this misconception that all we do over at counseling is to just advise students every semester, but we do so much more. We do classroom presentation, new student orientations for those students who are trying to transfer to a university after they get their associates here at the college. We can also help them, guide them through that process. We do crisis intervention. And also, I want to remind you that you can find us on social media. We have a Facebook page as well as an Instagram page where we're always updating important information. So when is the first day of registration, right? The last day to drop courses. So please follow us on social media.
Okay, I'm sorry. My mic was off. Okay, can you hear me now? Yes? Okay, okay. So the other thing that I wanted to mention is that we also have a bulletin board at the Northwest campus outside with very important dates. And if you also need to check important dates, you can check them on our main webpage, or if you have any questions, you can visit any counseling center. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start talking about degree pathways. El Paso Community College only offers associates, okay? That includes Associate of Arts, Associate of Arts in Teaching, and Associate of Science. So these three degrees are completely transferable to a university, okay? And of course in Texas. But once you obtain your degree, it can transfer anywhere, okay? So the Associate of Arts requires 60 credit hours to be completed. Usually what they require is that the student obtains a C or higher grade so the degree can transfer. A student can graduate with a D. Okay, a student can graduate with a D from EPCC, but once they get to the university, let's say that they require a higher grade, so the student will have to retake that course that the student got a D in, either in the new university or come back to EPCC to retake the course. Okay, so the Associates of Arts is the degree that we use for the majors that we don't have, because we have over 150 plus majors, but we do not have, like, for example, an Associate of Arts in History, or an Associate of Arts in Political Science, or a transferable degree, Associate of Arts in Social Work. So those transferable degrees, if we don't offer it, we get the students started with the Associate of Arts. Of course, we ask the student, where are you transferring? And if, for example, the student is transferring to UTIP, we'll kind of look up the information and give them some courses in the bracket of the electives that will work for a bachelor's. That way it will save the student time and money. Okay. The other degree that we offer is the Associate of Science. And this one, like I said, this one is completely transferable. And all Associate of Arts degrees, require 60 credit hours so the student can transfer. Okay. Any questions?
Okay, so EPC also offers Associate of Applied Science as well as certificates of completion. So whenever you see the word apply, it means that it's a technical degree. It's mainly for students who are seeking immediate employment because it provides them with hands-on experience. The credits can transfer to a university for a Bachelor's of Applied Science and may also lead to a professional certification or licensure. So the purpose of these degrees is to provide students with career preparation, right? It's mainly for those students who want to join the workforce as soon as they get their associates, right? For those students that they don't want to transfer to a university to get a bachelor's. We also have certificates of completion, which provide students with short-term training as well as entry-level job skills. They usually require less than 60 credit hours. We offer 1 year and 2 years certificates. So the main purpose of this certification is to narrow career-specific skills, such as like welding, culinary arts, automotive technology, among others. It's important to know that the Associate of Applied Science and the certifications are usually housed at a specific campus. And we'll be talking about this in the next few slides. But like for all technical careers, they're located at the ATC, the Advanced Technology Center, at the Valle Verde campus, right? Certificates such as culinary arts and cosmetology, those programs are offered at the ASC, which is it's located on Viscount. So that's why it's extremely important to always work with a counselor, right? To communicate with a counselor to get more information regarding the associate or that you're trying to pursue, right? Or the certification. So please let me know if you have any questions regarding the Associate of Applied Science or the certifications. Okay.
Okay. So Astrid mentioned that, okay, we do have a question, so we're gonna pause. I don't know if you want to be reading that question, Astrid, so I can go ahead and cover, and then we'll answer the question.
Okay, let me see.
Let me see where it's at. Okay.
Yeah.
Where did it go?
Oh, it's not a question. It's just like they're just sharing like important information. Yes.
Okay. So we're going to go ahead and continue. So the specialized programs that Astrid was mentioning are, like she said, housed at different campuses. Like, for example, here at the Northwest campus, we do have court reporting. Okay. Court reporting, it is an Associate of Applied Science. Okay, and it is housed at the Northwest campus, and this court reporting, mainly all the court reporting courses are online. The only courses that they can take face-to-face, if they prefer, are the court classes, okay? The other specialized areas of studies, as Astrid mentioned, are all the Advanced Technology Center degrees, and those are housed at the ATC, at the Advanced Technology Center. Okay. We have fire technology. Fire technology is housed at Valle Verde. The health science are housed at Rio Grande. Architecture is housed at Valle Verde. Culinary arts, she already mentioned it. Sign language at Valle Verde. Co-reporting here and continuing it. It could either be offered, the courses could either be offered at Valle Verde or at the ASC. Okay, these are specialized programs, and it is fashion. Yes, fashion is offered at TM. Okay. And these are specialized programs. Okay. The specialized programs have a lot of courses that run on a sequence. So it is very important for the students to start with the first course so they can pass the course and continue with the sequence. Okay. Some of these are transferable completely, like for example, architecture. Okay. Um, and some are only Associate of Applied Science. The architecture degree is works very, very different than a lot of the degrees, simply because when a student graduates from EPCC with an architecture degree, okay, if the student is going to transfer to Texas Tech, we can recommend other courses that will go further than the 60 credit hours. But if the student is not, if the student is not transferring to Texas Tech, either El Paso or Lubbock, we have to stick to the 60 credit hours only, and then they take whatever is missing from the degree at their appropriate university. Okay, so with architecture, they do have to start in the fall. So the student has to start since the beginning, since the very first semester. A lot of the times the students are undecided, but we have to get them started where they are supposed to. If not, they will get behind. Okay. And that, as I mentioned, the courses run in a sequence. So some of the courses are only offered in the fall, and then the following sequence will be offered in the spring. So if the student either fails a class or does not follow the sequence, the student will fall behind a year. Okay. And that's where they start getting into like it's problems, especially if the student is applying for financial aid, because they have to take other courses in between, and then they end up taking only architecture courses at the end, and sometimes they run out of financial aid or what they do. So it's very, very important that you refer the students to counseling, because the degrees that are specialized work very different than a traditional degree. Okay. We also are going to mention, like, for example, our international students, their academic journey is completely different than a regular traditional student. So you can help them as much as you want and as much as you can, like other departments, but it's very important that you refer them to counseling just to check to see if the student is on the correct track and following whatever they're supposed to be following. We also tell students that, yes, they have their buddy who is working maybe on something similar, but always come in and check, because of course that you enroll with your friend might not even be for your degree. So, and or some students might tell them, yes, I'm going to give you an example, architecture. So a student is going to Texas Tech, Lubbock, or Texas Tech or Lubbock, Texas Tech, El Paso or Lubbock. And if the student is going to transfer here, we know what to give them. But like I said, it's different if the student is going to New Mexico. So if the students are friends and the one from New Mexico is telling the one from here, take this course, that course might not apply for here, or vice versa. So it's very critical that they keep us in mind and come back to counseling and check. It doesn't hurt to check if you're on the correct path. That's what we're here for, to assist you, okay, or assist the students. Any questions?
Okay, so most students are not aware that the college offers a health science pathway. So we offer health careers such as sonography, radiography, dental hygiene, and we also have a nursing program. So the health careers in nursing, those programs are housed at the RG campus, the downtown campus. So these programs follow a specialized admissions requirements. They work different than other programs such as criminal justice, business, where students just start taking courses based on their degree plan. For these programs, you have your mandatory courses, and then you have your ranking courses. You also have to complete an assessment. For the health occupations, the assessment is the TSIA, right? The placement test for the state of Texas. Some students get confused because they think, oh, I already took the TSI. But you take the TSI when you're like a brand new student for course placement. And if you're going into the health pathway, then you're going to have to retake the TSI for ranking purposes. Then those students who are interested in nursing, they're going to have to take a different assessment, which is called the TEAS assessment. Both assessments are offered through the EPC testing center. Students can get more information by visiting the testing center, right? And keep in mind that they also have a virtual office. Also, it's important to mention that students are going to have to meet with a designated counselor if they're thinking into like going into nursing or the health occupations. They're going to have a designated counselor who will be guiding them through the process. And let me just use nursing as an example. If a student is interested in pursuing nursing here at the college, they're going to have to complete 8 prerequisite courses. One of them is going to be English, a college level math class, as well as like upper level biology courses. It's important for students to know that those prerequisite courses can be taken at any EPC campus or even online if they prefer to take online courses. But once they get admitted into the actual program, the program courses are only going to be offered at the RG campus. And I've had students who are interested in pursuing nursing or a health occupation, and they were not aware that courses are only offered at that EPC location. So that's why it's important, like if any of you are considering like going into nursing or the health occupations, to understand that you'll be going to that campus. So for these programs, you have to apply. And you apply to the program by completing your mandatory courses, your ranking courses, by taking an assessment, and also by working on your clinical clearance requirements. These requirements are usually like your titers, which is blood work, your immunizations. You have to have a CPR certificate as well as a first aid certification. So that's why it's extremely important to always work with your designated counselor, because they'll be able to provide you with more specific information regarding the program. For instance, the nursing program, that program ranks twice a year. And by ranking, I mean that you get to apply if the program starts twice a year, for spring entry or for fall entry, which it gives students like an opportunity. If for some reason they do not rank, they can always re-rank the following semester. And this is only for nursing. For the health occupations such as like sonography, radiography, those programs rank once a year, which means that if for some reason a student didn't get in, the student would have to wait an entire year, which is why it's important for students to understand that these programs are extremely competitive, which is why it's recommended for you to prepare, for you to get A's in your ranking courses in order for you to be competitive. Because some of these programs, they only take 15 students or 20 students once a year. Nursing works a little bit different. For nursing, we take 70 students twice a year. So it just depends on the program they're interested in pursuing. Again, you can go to any EPC campus to the counseling department, or if you prefer like online assistance, counseling also has a virtual office so that you can meet with a counselor. If you're interested in nursing or sonography, we can provide you with a program guide. We can provide you with additional information to see where you're standing when it comes to the courses that you've taken or the ones that you're lacking. So if you're interested in any of these programs, I would strongly advise you to meet with a counselor as soon as possible. Are there any questions pertaining to nursing or the health occupations? No? Okay.
Okay. Okay, so we talked about the Advanced Technology Center, and these programs, Astrid was the one who mentioned that we do have Associate of Applied Science and certificates, okay? Some of the certificates that we have, okay, will lead to a license, okay? Of course, they have to pass their state exams, okay? We do have renewable energy technology systems. We do have HVAC, industrial maintenance, electrical, CNC, welding, diesel mechanic, robotics, okay? Also, when the student does an Associate of Applied Science, they do have to do an internship. Like, for example, my husband, he's an electrician, HVAC technician. So there's other things that they have to do, not only the courses. The courses, for example, for electrical, he did have to work and under a licensed electrician for, I think it was like 4,000 hours before he could apply for his license. Okay. Why does the state do this? Because it's not only lecture. Okay. To be an electrician, they do need to practice. Also, I'm pretty sure, like with the health science, that's what they do. I recently had a student who was doing health science, and I don't want to go into a street part, but they also do internships. You have probably seen them at hospitals. Like you go in and there's students with the white gown and they have an EPCC logo. That's the ones that those are the students who are doing their not technicals, their internship or their clinicals. That's what I was going to say. Okay. So yeah, so they have, like I said, and each program, I keep saying this, and I want to reiterate because we have a lot of students who run into problems who just take the courses and finish and they think that's it. But no, there's things that are involved with certain degrees that the student has to be completing while they're still attending their classes. And their friends don't know, other departments don't know. We are the only ones who will know. So it's very important that the students come and talk to us. Any questions? Okay. Go ahead, Astrid.
Okay, so it's important for students to know that EPC offers over 150 programs in 8 areas of study. So these are like categories, right? So one of the areas of study is arts, humanities, and communication. We have 17 programs under that specific area of study. We also have business. For business, we have 7 programs. Health sciences, like the careers that I was just mentioning, like nursing, sonography, pharmacy tech, we have 17 programs in the health science area of study. And then for industry, manufacturing, and construction, we have 28 programs. Like Sonia was just mentioning, we have diesel mechanics, HVAC, several options for students who are seeking to join the workforce as soon as they get their associates here at the college. For public service, the college offers 12 programs. And then we have also the science, technology, engineering, and math area of study. For that area of study, we have 25 programs, right? Programs such as biology, chemistry, and Sonia will talk about that in a minute. And then the last area of study is social and behavioral sciences. For that specific area of study, we offer 5 programs. So it's important to, like, whenever I meet with a student that it's undecided, it's important for students to understand that it's okay to be undecided, right? And since we have so many programs, they're going to find something that they really enjoy. For those undecided students, it's always recommended, right, for them to complete a career assessment in order for them to like know a little bit more about like their skills. That way they can make a decision when it comes to what degree pathway they want to go ahead and follow. So do you have any questions pertaining to the 8 areas of study? Let me see. No, I don't see any questions. Okay.
Okay, so this is our famous pinwheel that our librarian, Ms. Lorelia Ambris, designed for us. Okay, and it does cover the 8 areas of studies, and of course with all majors, okay, that fall under these areas of studies. Okay, this pinwheel is available in counseling. Okay, so you can come and request it if you need to know all the majors that we offer. You can also find them on our webpage, right? You can find all the information on our webpage. And if you need more clarification, like I said, that's why we're here. Does anybody have any questions about the majors or the areas of studies, or any comments that you want to say? It's kind of blurry here on the PowerPoint because it has a lot of information, so we had to kind of minimize it so it could fit the PowerPoint. But like I said, if you have any questions, let us know. Okay.
Okay, so the core curriculum, most students refer to the core curriculum as basics, right? They're basics, but the proper term is core curriculum. So it consists of 9 components. The first one is communication. You'll be taking your composition 1, as well as your speech class. Then we have mathematics, right? So math depends on the student's major. If for some reason the student's majoring in like science, right, either biology or chemistry, then the student will be getting advice for the proper math, right, depending on like the student's major. And then we have the life and physical sciences. Most students have to take 2 science courses. But if for some reason a student is majoring in, like I was saying, chemistry or biology, the student is going to need additional science courses. So pretty much everything depends on the student's degree pathway. And then we have the language, philosophy, and culture, also known as humanities, where students get to select the class that they want to take to fulfill the language, philosophy, and culture block. And then we have the creative arts. For creative arts, we offer several options, such as like music, arts, film. So students get to select 1 class from the creative arts. And then we have history. For history, students have to take 2 courses, and same thing applies for government or political science. Students are going to be taking Texas government and then the federal government as well. And then we also have the social and behavioral sciences, where students have to take 1 class. The most common courses from this specific block are usually like general psychology or introduction to sociology. Students tend to go with those 2, one of those 2 classes. And then we have the component area. The component area consists of composition 2, which is English 1302, and then education 1300, which is it's called learning framework. This class is extremely important. Well, and it's also recommended for students to take that class during their first semester, because it helps students transition from high school to college. It provides students with the proper resources in order for them to succeed in college. And like Sonia was mentioning, the Associate of Arts in Teaching, and Associate of Science, right, which are mainly designed for those students who are trying to transfer to a university and pursue their bachelor's. So 42 of those credit hours are going to be from their core curriculum courses, all the courses that I just mentioned. And then 18 to 24 credit hours are going to come from their electives or field of study courses. And by electives, I mean, if for some reason a student, let's say it's majoring in criminal justice, then the student will be taking criminal justice electives. And that applies for like if a student is majoring in business or engineering, the student will be taking their program electives. Also, I want to mention that all the courses, most of the courses that a student takes here at the college will transfer to a four-year institution in the state of Texas. If for some reason, let's just say a student is pursuing criminal justice here at the college, and then later on the student wants to transfer to California, every single class will transfer with the exception of Texas government. Once the student transfers to that new institution, the student will be taking California government once a student transfers to that institution. So any questions regarding your core curriculum courses or your electives, please feel free to let me know if you have any questions.
Okay, so I just want to mention, like, for example, I said that we will put the student that is kind of undecided, or if we don't have the major here. So the student will take the core, right? The student will take all 42 credit hours for the core. And as I was saying, for the electives, let's say that the student is doing a history, because we don't have a history major. So the student is doing a history major. So the student will take the core, 42 credit hours. And in the 18 to 24 credit hours, where it says electives, we would recommend additional history courses that will work for the bachelor's. Okay, that's what I was trying to say back then. Okay, so let me see. So our academic year, okay, during our academic year, we have different semesters. Okay, and now we do have our 8-week semesters, the majority of the time at our Mission del Paso campus. Okay, that was designed for students who work full-time. Okay, let me explain this. And at the beginning, I didn't understand, okay, so how is that going to make them graduate faster if the courses are the same? The student can only take 12 credit hours, and I'll explain that right now. So let's talk about the semesters. The semesters, a regular semester is 16 credit hours. Right now, we are in the fall semester that started in August, and it will run all the way to December. Okay, that's the regular traditional semester. It's a 16-week semester with a student that is attending full-time, 12 credit hours. Okay, so we then have the 8-week semester, which is a mini-mester. We do have a mini-mester in the fall that started in August and finished in October. Then we have our other mini-mester that will start in October and finish in December. Okay, then we have winter mesters, which will start in December and run through January. The winter mesters or winter mini semesters, they are completely online, and they are offered when all schools are on vacation. Okay, then we have the spring semester that starts in January to May, that's traditional 16-week. Then we have the mini mesters from January to March, from March to May, and the summer. And then the summer we offer different types of semesters. We offer the 8 or 10-week semester, which are the longer semesters, and usually we recommend for the students to take, like if they're struggling, let's say that the student is struggling in math and they say, well, I really need to take math and it's the summer. We usually recommend for them to take it from the 8 to 10 weeks. Okay, from 8 to 10 weeks, because that's what's going to work maybe a little bit better because they're going to spend more time in class. The summer 1 and summer 2, these semesters are only 5 weeks, so they go pretty fast. And I wouldn't recommend a course for a student who's struggling, let's say in math, to take a 5-week, because it's going to go so fast that the student will be maybe set up for failure instead of being helped. Okay, as I was saying, mentioned that El Paso does offer mini masters. So our students who take part-time classes, let's say that a student works full-time and then they can only take part-time. If a student takes a regular semester, they can only take 2 classes, which will not be full-time. Okay. Now, if a student is working full-time and they want to finish and they're dedicated, we usually recommend that they go and take courses either online or face-to-face at the Mission del Paso campus, because the courses run 8 weeks. So the student will be enrolled for 2 classes the first 8 weeks, and then 2 classes the second 8 weeks. And this way, the student will advance a little faster, because at the end of the whole semester, the student will be taking 12 credit hours. Okay, and that's how it works faster. And then the other way that it works faster, because if the student needs to take a prerequisite course and the course, like for example, English 1301 can be taken fall mini master 1, and English 1302 can be taken fall mini master 2. So they cover a sequence of 2 courses in 1 semester. So that's why it also works a little bit faster. And a lot of the students prefer them. A lot of the students prefer 16 weeks, but the good thing is that EPCC offers all these variety of options, so the students can work with their work schedule, if they don't work, they can work with their family schedule or whatever they need. Okay.
Okay, so it's important for students to get familiar with the classification of the course that they're going to be taking, right? And the credit hours that they'll be earning for every single class. So we're going to use English 1301 as an example. So the first digit indicates the classification of the course. So keep in mind that EPC, it's a community college, so we only offer freshman and sophomore courses. Once a student gets their associates and transfers to a four-year institution to pursue a bachelor's, that's when the student will be taking like their junior and senior courses. So here at the college, you're only going to be seeing a 1, like you're seeing right now for English, and a 2. Okay, and then the second digit indicates the number of credits that the class is worth. So again, let's go back to English, right? So the second digit, it's a 3, which means that the student will be earning 3 credit hours. Usually students will be earning 3 credit hours for pretty much every single class, with the exception of their science courses. So here we have biology. You're going to see biology 1306 and biology 1106. So for science courses, students have to take the lecture and the lab concurrently during that same semester. So that even though you're seeing that there's like 2 sections, it's still considered 1 class. So the student will be earning 4 credit hours for that specific class. And then we also have Spanish, like for instance, this Spanish class, the student will be earning 4 credit hours. We offer some kinesiology courses, such as like the one that you're seeing here, kinesiology 1100, which is conditioning. We also have weight training. So for those courses, the student will be earning 1 credit hour. Also, I want to mention, even though we're not seeing math here, but we have like upper level math courses such as like calculus 1, 2, and 3. For those courses, the student will be earning 4 credit hours. So again, it just depends on the class, right? But it's extremely important for students to understand that here at the college, they'll be taking only their freshman and sophomore courses. Because sometimes we deal with transfer students who are attending like UTEP or Texas Tech. They come to get advice by us, and they just want to know if we offer that specific class, right? In order for them to be able to take the class here at the college. And we always explain to them, the class that you need, it's like an upper level class that we do not offer, right? So you have to take that class which it looks like it's a junior class at your institution. So also, like, if a student wants to know like how many credits he or she will be taking for that specific semester, the student is more than welcome to meet with us, and we'll go ahead and explain everything to them so they can feel comfortable knowing like their semester hours, if they're, because most students, they want to know if they're going to be considered full-time or part-time for financial aid purposes. So I do want to mention that full-time, it's considered 12 credit hours. And then anything less than 12, it's considered part-time. Any questions?
Okay, what's also very, very important is their academic standing, okay? There are 3 levels of academic standing, okay, that we use in counseling, or the whole college uses them, okay? The first one is the good standing. The student has to maintain a minimum of a GPA of a 2.0, which is a C, okay, to be considered in good standing, okay? It's very, very important that they maintain a C GPA or a 2.0, because that can create conflict with financial aid, conflict with their continuing of their education, okay? Then we have academic probation. The student will be placed on academic probation when the student's GPA falls below a 2.0, okay? For example, if the student does not do good a semester, they are put under academic probation. So the student will continue and with their courses, but for financial aid, they might not receive financial aid for the following semester. Okay, so for their academic journey, if the student is on academic probation and continues the following semester, if they do not do well in their classes and their GPA falls below a 2.0 or lower, the student will be placed on academic suspension. If the student is placed on academic suspension, the student will have to sit out a semester, and that's policy. That's the college policy, okay? So the student does have to sit out a semester. Financial aid will not be granted for the following semester, okay? So when the student returns, we have to do a petition so the student can enter 2 courses, okay? Usually we recommend that the student takes the courses that they fail, because this is the fastest way of getting out of academic suspension. They take the courses that they fail. Let's say that the student had 2 courses and they got a 2 Fs. So they were taking English and criminal justice per se. So the following, they sit out a semester, the following semester that they're eligible to come back, the student will be recommended to take the courses that they fail, which are English and criminal justice. And if they get a good grade, what happens with their GPA, the low grades get excluded, the new grades get included, and that reprojects their GPA, and it makes their GPA jump faster than taking other courses. That's why we recommend for them to take the same courses when they're on academic suspension or probation, okay? The student has to pass their courses, and once they bring up their GPA above a 2.0, then that's when they can start talking to financial aid, so they can either reinstate their financial aid, or see if they're going to have to reapply, or whatever is needed for financial aid, okay? Now, if the student, let's say that we have this student who was on probation, then ended up on suspension, sat out a semester, returned when he was supposed to with 2 classes, but then the student fails those 2 classes. What happens? The student has to sit out a year. Okay, the student cannot return until a year has passed, or 2 semesters, especially like if they're regular semesters, fall and spring. Okay, Some counselors do allow them if they have, like, let's say, if it's an unforeseen event, of course, we have to evaluate what happened. Maybe we ask them for paperwork, or we ask them to write an essay to see if they're eligible, and we might allow them. If the student is an international student, that the student is going to lose their visa, we might allow them to continue. Okay, these are the special circumstances that students run in. Like, for example, if the student is pursuing a degree out of the ATC majors, those courses, they're the ones that work like a 5-week. Those courses there's 4 courses, and it's a sequence, and they take them one back to, well, or they take them back to back, but they usually take those 4 courses in the semester, like every month. Okay, so if the student runs out of that sequence, the courses are also divided by a bracket of schedules. We do have a schedule Monday through Friday from 8 to 1, and then the other courses start from 1 to 5, and then from 5 to 10. But the students for the ATC, they follow the same schedule, like in the morning, Monday through Friday, 8 to 1. Okay, so that's how they continue. But if the student ends up on academic suspension and they can only take 2 classes, the majority have to take the 4, so their sequence completely messes up. So these are the students that might get an opportunity, and we make them write an essay, and we might let them continue, so that way they don't fall out of the sequence or fall very behind. Okay, so like I said, there's special circumstances, but like, for example, me, I tell the students, just do good, and you will not get into any of those problems. If the student does good, they can continue. If they are on financial aid, their financial aid will continue if they keep applying, and of course, if they qualify. But if they end up on academic probation or academic suspension, that's when it creates conflicts for the students.
Okay, so it's important for students to get familiar with the student process. So this is a student flow chart. So the first step is for students to apply to the college. They can do that online by going to applytexas.org, or if they prefer, they can do it in person by going to any EPC campus to the admissions office. It's important for students to understand that it can take up to 1 week for admissions to process their application. So once a student applies to the college, he or she will be provided with a student ID number. Once a student has that ID number, the next step will be to visit the counseling department. The student will have to meet with a counselor or with an academic advisor, and that's when the advisement will take place. Because we deal with brand new students right out of high school, but also with transfer students. So for transfer students, we always ask them to submit their official transcripts, but for advising purposes, we can use a copy of their unofficial transcript. Then for those students that are brand new, who barely graduated from high school, we check for them to see if they took the placement test, the TSI, at their high school. If not, we'll refer them to testing so they can go ahead and take the placement test. And then once the student gets advice, then we refer the student to the Connect Center so that they can get assistance with registration. We don't have a Connect Center at every campus. We only have it at the Valle Verde campus. So for instance, I'm going to use Northwest as an example. Here at Northwest, since we don't have a Connect Center, we refer students to either the library or to the computer lab with their advising form so they can get assistance with registration. So sometimes when they go to the library or to the computer lab, we'll get phone calls saying, you know what, the student is getting an error message. Do you mind checking? So that's when the consultation takes place. Oh, perfect. Okay, so the Connect Center is also available online. Perfect. So before we refer the student to either the Connect Center, the library, or to the computer lab, we provide the student with an advising plan with some recommendations for the following semester so that the student is going to know what classes to add. We always tell students it's important for you to let the person who's helping you register for classes know that maybe you want to take online courses, or maybe you just want to attend the Valle Verde campus. So it's important to always communicate with the person who's helping you to let them know, I want to do more morning classes, afternoon classes. That's why it's important for students to register as soon as registration opens. Because if you register on time, you're going to have a lot of options. Versus if you wait until last minute, you're going to be pretty limited. So I think now it's a perfect time to mention that spring registration is going to open on Monday, September 29th. So if you haven't gotten advice for that semester, I would strongly advise you to visit a counseling department at any campus, or visit our counseling virtual office so that you can get properly advised. And then I also want to mention that for those students who are thinking about applying for financial aid, it's always recommended for them to visit the financial aid department at any campus, but they also have a virtual office. So if a student has questions pertaining to how to fill out the financial aid application, they can get assistance by speaking to a financial aid representative. For those students who do not qualify for financial aid, the college offer payment plans. You can also apply and say if you can qualify for a loan. But this is usually like the student process, right? The students apply, they get advice, they register for classes, and then they go ahead and speak to the financial aid department or to the cashier's office to get more information regarding payment plans.
Okay. So we have also a lot of resources that are offered online. Okay, the majority of them are offered online. We just have to guide the students to find these resources. Okay, all offices are supposed to be open from 8 to 5, except the library. The library are the ones who have like more extended hours, and some of the tutoring offices also have that. Okay, but regular offices like financial aid, admissions, counseling are usually work from 8 to 5, and we are open face to face, and we have a virtual office. Okay, there's so much information that we want to provide you with, but there's only like a limited time that we have. Go ahead, Astrid. I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you, Sonia. Okay. So like Sonia was mentioning, I mean, some students are not aware of all the different resources that EPC offers for them, those resources are free of charge because they're EPCC students, right? So I'm just going to mention a few of these resources. We have the Tutoring Center, which offers students a variety of resources from in-person tutoring, study guide resources to online tutoring. So this is a great option for those students who want to get like that extra assistance in order for them to succeed in their courses. They can meet with a tutor online or in person. Every single campus has a tutoring center, and if for some reason they prefer online assistance, they would just have to log into their the tutoring like virtual office. And then we have the Retention Action Program. That program offers the necessary skills for those students who are seeking a technical career, right? They get tutoring, they get additional assistance for them to succeed in those technical careers. And then we have the Student Support Services Program. The goal of that program is to support enrollment and completion of college students who are low income, first generation, or for those students who may have a disability. This is a great program. They also provide students with tutoring and other services, which will help students succeed during their college career. And then we have PrEP, which stands for Pre-Testing, Retesting Educational Program. So PrEP offers helpful advice and tools for students who place into developmental courses, right, to kind of refresh like their math, reading, and writing in order for them to succeed in their college courses. They all, like I was mentioning, when it comes to like the health careers, right, and nursing, right, students have to take a specific assessment, but they can also go to PrEP to get like the proper like assistance so they can go ahead and succeed if they're going into those careers. PrEP also offers boot camps, right, for the TSI and for the TEAS assessment every single semester. And then we also have the Student Parent Resource Center. We have these centers at every single campus. It's a welcoming study space for EPC student parents and their families. Students are more than welcome to use that study space while their children get to play or watch a movie. So it's important for those student parents to know that they can definitely take advantage of these centers that are located at every EPC campus. And then we have the Veterans Resource Center. This is basically a one-stop shop where active duty students, retired students, spouses of veterans, or dependent children of service disabled veterans, they can get assistance, right? If they're thinking about going back to school or starting their college career, they can just go there to receive all the assistance that they need. And then now we have EPC Cares, which is a mental health program which provides services to support students' personal, emotional, and mental health needs. They get to meet with a clinician in person or online. And it's important to mention that they go by appointments. And this is not only for students, it's also for their families. As long as a student enroll, like let's say for the fall semester, their family can also be part of the session, right? If for some reason a student wants to receive these mental health services, not only for the student, but also for like their significant other or families, they also do, they can also get these services. And then we have CSD, the Center for Students with Disabilities, who provide students with services regardless of their disability. So if for some reason a student needs extra time to complete an exam, or the student needs someone to take their notes, they offer those services. So the student will have to go to CSD. We have a CSD department at every campus. To apply, they would have to apply, then provide the proper documentation, and then CSD will make those arrangements from them. CSD will be having a conversation with the instructor, so the student doesn't have to make those arrangements. CSD will take care of that. And then lastly, we have distance learning support services, which provides technical support services for those students who are taking online courses and hybrid courses. And I do want to mention that students who are only taking online courses, they have access to the same resources and services that are available to those traditional students who are taking in-person courses. So these are like a few of the resources that EPC offers. So please visit us over at the counseling center, right? So that we can refer you to the proper department, so that we can provide you with additional information pertaining to all of these resources that the college offers.
Y'all have a question. The student wants to know, do you have additional information about scholarships?
Yes, I believe there's, and Sonia, correct me if I'm wrong, there's a website, if you go to the EPC homepage, where students can get additional information regarding scholarships. So let me see if, give me just 1 second.
Yes, it's under the financial aid. Just go there and it will bring up like where it says scholarships.
Or also, like if you go to epc.edu, your homepage, and in the search box, if you enter scholarships, it's going to take you to that website.
And there's different scholarships that might require, they're usually very the same. They require an essay, but they vary like in very minor things. So you do have to read as what they require from you. Thank you. I'm sorry right now. Astrid would change it and then I would change it because we didn't agree on who was going to be changing the slides. Okay. So any questions that you might have, any other questions about anything? And if you don't think of a question right now, but later on you think of a question, just come into any counseling department and we can assist you. That's what we're here for, like I said. Or if you want to go online and you have questions, we do have our virtual office, as we mentioned before. So anything that you can think of, like I said, each major is different in its own way. Okay, not the courses will still work the same, but there's some degrees or majors that might require for you to do like a little bit extra stuff. Like for example, education just came to my mind. There's 2 courses, no, actually there's 3 or 4 courses that the student does have to do student teaching hours. Okay, so, and little things like these, the students don't know, and that's why I want to reiterate again, please come and visit counseling. We wish we could provide more information, but we don't want to keep you here because it's a lot of information. It's probably like a whole day of information that we can talk of everything that we do, everything that we assist the students with, and talking about the degrees. But like I said, if you have any questions right now, we can go ahead and answer them. Or if you have any questions later, just come by and visit us. Okay, there's no appointment needed if you come face to face. Now, if you go virtually, we are working by appointment, so it might be faster to get your questions answered if you come in face to face. Any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Santana. There doesn't seem to be any questions, but there's a lot of thank yous. So
Okay.
while they think of their questions, I'm going to go ahead and share next week's TVEs real quick. So next week at this same link on October 3rd for Happy Math Hour in Math 1332, we'll be doing an exam 2 review. In Math 2412, we'll be doing Law of Sines and Cosines. And then at the 1 o'clock session at the same link, we will have EPCC Theater with Ted Carver. We would like to take a moment to thank you all for joining us today. Thank Ms. Santana and Ms. Arciniega for presenting for us today. And again, we're here if you have any questions. We hope you have a lovely weekend.